Hello, have you ever wondered why in our world full of technology and unprecedented conveniences, there is so much stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction? We are constantly running somewhere, fearing something, regretting something. We make the same mistakes that steal our peace of mind and prevent us from living a meaningful life. But what if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, there were people who developed an incredibly powerful operating system for the human mind? A system that allows one to maintain clarity of mind and inner peace even in the epicenter of chaos. These people were the Stoics, emperors and slaves, playwrights and generals. They faced wars, epidemics, betrayal, and political intrigues, yet they strived to live a life full of virtue and meaning. Stoicism is not a philosophy for dusty libraries. It is a practical guide to action. And today we will analyze 7 common mistakes we make almost every day, which a true Stoic would never commit. This is not just a list of prohibitions. These are 7 keys to a more conscious, peaceful, and happy life. Ready to reprogram your mind? Let's begin. Mistake 1. Worrying about what we cannot control. Let's start with the foundation. This is perhaps the most important and most common mistake. How much energy do we spend worrying about the weather that might spoil our weekend plans? How many nerve cells do we burn standing in traffic? How much time do we spend anxious about what other people will think of us, or what the economic course will be in a year? We act as if we can disperse clouds by sheer thought, clear a road, or get inside another person's head. But the truth is that all these things are absolutely beyond our power. The Stoics called this the dichotomy of control. Epictetus, a philosopher who went from being a slave to one of the most respected teachers of his time, articulated this principle with crystal clarity. In his Enchiridion, he writes, "Things are of 2 kinds. Some are in our power, others are not. In our power are our opinions, impulses, desires, and aversions. In a word, whatever is our own doing. Not in our power are our body, our property, our reputation, our public office. In a word, whatever is not our own doing." Think about it. The only thing we truly have is our ability to choose how to react to what happens. Imagine you are going for an important job interview. What is in your power? To prepare, research the company, get enough sleep, dress neatly, leave home on time. What is not in your power? Traffic on the road, the interviewer's mood, the number of other candidates, the company's final decision. A modern person will be nervous because of traffic, replaying negative scenarios in their head, getting angry at other drivers. They will arrive at the interview already agitated and tired. A Stoic, encountering the same traffic jam, would say to themselves, "This event is beyond my control. My task now is to remain calm. I can use this time to mentally review my answers again or simply breathe calmly." They would focus on what they can control, their inner state. The Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who ruled a vast empire during an era of wars and plague, wrote in his diary, known to us as Meditations, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. Every time you feel anxiety or anger, ask yourself a simple question: is the cause of my worry within my circle of control? If the answer is no, let it go. Your energy is too precious a resource to waste on fighting windmills." Mistake 2. Living in the past or the future. The second mistake is closely related to the first. Our mind is a time machine, but unfortunately, we most often use it to travel to 2 of the most toxic places: the land of past regrets and the land of future anxieties. We endlessly replay old mistakes in our heads. "Oh, if only I had said it differently then. Why did I agree to that job? And I should have invested money differently." Or we drift into the future making catastrophic predictions. What if I fail the exam? What if I get fired? And what will happen if I get sick? And what's the result? We cannot change the past, and the future has not yet arrived, and most likely will be completely different from what we imagined. The only real time we have is now. But we spend it mentally somewhere else. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoics and mentor to Emperor Nero, wrote in his moral letters to Lucilius, "True happiness is to enjoy the present, without anxious dependence upon the future." He also noted how foolish it is to suffer in advance. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think about how many times you worried about an event that never happened, or one that turned out to be not nearly as bad as you imagined. The Stoics urged practicing prosos, attention to the present moment. This doesn't mean being reckless and not planning for the future or not learning from the past. Not at all. Lessons from the past should be learned, and the situation itself should be let go, not carried around like a bag of stones. Plans for the future should be made, but one should not live in them. Not become attached to a specific outcome, and not worry about 1,000 possible what-ifs. Imagine you're drinking your morning coffee. A modern person at this moment is already checking email, reading news, thinking about upcoming meetings. They are physically drinking coffee, but mentally they are already at work. They feel neither the taste nor the aroma. They are not present in their own life. A Stoic, however, would try to be here and now. They would feel the warmth of the cup, inhale the aroma of the drink, taste it. They would simply drink coffee. This is the practice of mindfulness. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Do not upset yourself by envisioning your whole life at once. Do not let all the troubles that may probably confront you in the future at once take hold of you. But in each particular business, ask yourself, what is there in this that is intolerable and insufferable? Focus on the task directly in front of you. If you are working, work. If you are relaxing with family, be with your family, not with your phone. If you are eating, eat. Bring yourself back to the present moment. Only here can you act. Only here is their life." Mistake 3. Seeking approval and happiness in external things. We live in an era of social media, in a culture of likes and constant comparison. Our self-esteem often depends on how many people liked our photo, what kind of car we have, what position is listed on our profile. We seek happiness and confirmation of our worth in external things, in the praise of others, in material possessions, in status. And this is a huge mistake, a trap that guarantees eternal dissatisfaction. Why? Because all of this is beyond our control. The opinions of other people are as changeable as the wind. Wealth can be lost in an instant. Status is temporary. By making our happiness dependent on these things, we voluntarily hand over the keys to our inner peace into someone else's hands. The Stoics were absolutely convinced the only source of true good and happiness is within us. It is our virtue, our reason, our character. This is what Marcus Aurelius called the inner citadel, a fortress that no one can capture unless we ourselves open the gates. He wrote, "Look inward. Within is the fountain of good, and it will ever bubble up if you will ever dig." A Stoic doesn't ask, "What will they think of me?" They ask, "Am I acting correctly? Does my action align with my values? Am I being a good person?" Their system of coordinates is internal, not external. Imagine two colleagues who worked on a project. Their boss criticized the result. The first colleague, living in search of external approval, would be crushed. "I'm a failure. My boss doesn't appreciate me. My career is over." Their self-esteem would collapse. The second colleague, thinking like a Stoic, would react differently. They would analyze the criticism objectively. Which of these remarks are fair? What can I improve next time? They would not allow someone else's opinion to define their own worth. They know that they put in all their effort, acted honestly and professionally. Their self-esteem is based on their own actions, not on someone else's reaction. Epictetus said, "If someone handed over your body to the first passerby, you would be indignant. So why are you not ashamed to hand over your mind to the first one you meet, allowing him to confuse and upset you if he starts to scold you?" Stop outsourcing your happiness. Likes, branded clothing, an expensive car, all this is just external tinsel. True value is your character, your honesty, your courage, your wisdom. Develop them. Build your inner citadel, and then no external storms will be able to break you. Mistake 4, the wrong attitude towards anger and resentment. Anger. This emotion is familiar to everyone. We were cut off on the road, a colleague took credit for our achievements, a loved one said something hurtful, and now we are boiling, clenching our fists, angry tirades running through our heads. It seems to us that our anger is a just and natural reaction. The Stoics strongly disagreed with this. For them, anger is short madness. It is a poison we drink, hoping it will poison another. Seneca dedicated an entire treatise on anger to this topic, where he dissects this destructive emotion with surgical precision. He argued that anger is never useful. It clouds the mind, makes us commit acts we later bitterly regret. Anger doesn't solve a problem, it exacerbates it. No plague has cost humanity more dearly, wrote Seneca. The Stoics believed that anger arises not from the event itself, but from our judgment of that event. We get angry not because we were cut off on the road, but because we make a judgment. He shouldn't have done that. That's disrespectful. That's unfair. We create a story in our heads about malicious intent, and this story ignites fury within us. But what if we looked at it differently? What if that driver is rushing to the hospital? What if they are simply inexperienced and made a mistake? What if they are having a terrible day? Marcus Aurelius advised starting each day with the thought, "Today I shall be meeting with busybodies, with the ungrateful, arrogant, deceitful, envious, unsocial." All these things happen to them by reason of their ignorance of what is good and evil. He did not excuse bad actions, but he called for understanding. People act poorly because they are mistaken, because they don't know any better. Their actions are their problem, their mistake. Our reaction is our responsibility. Instead of giving in to anger, a Stoic would ask themselves questions. Did this act truly harm me, or did it only wound my ego? Is my peace of mind worth destroying over someone else's mistake? And what would be the wisest and most constructive reaction in this situation? This does not mean being passive and allowing oneself to be offended. No, you can and should defend your boundaries. But this must be done calmly with a clear head, not in a fit of rage. Anger is a sign of weakness, not strength. Strength lies in self-control. Next time you feel yourself boiling over, pause, inhale, exhale. Remind yourself that your anger is your choice, not an automatic reaction, and you can make a different, wiser choice. Mistake 5. Fleeing from discomfort and difficulties. Modern culture is obsessed with comfort. We strive to avoid any inconvenience, be it physical discomfort, a difficult conversation, or a challenging task. We seek easy paths, quick solutions, and instant gratification. And in this pursuit of eternal comfort, we become fragile and weak. The Stoics, however, adhered to the exact opposite philosophy. They understood that difficulties are not a curse, but a spiritual training ground. Just as one must lift weights to become strong, one must face difficulties head-on to forge character. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." He compared a person who had never encountered adversity to a wrestler who had never stepped into the ring. You may call him happy, but happy he is not. Without trials, we never learn what we are truly capable of. The Stoics practiced what could be called voluntary discomfort. They intentionally created small difficulties for themselves to prepare for possible real adversities. For example, they might eat simple food one day a week, or sleep on a hard floor, wear light clothing on a cool day, or abstain from wine. The purpose of this was not self-torture. The goal was to ask oneself, is this what I was so afraid of? And to realize that most of the things we fear are actually quite tolerable. This made them less dependent on comfort and more resilient to the blows of fate. When you know you can survive with little, losing a lot no longer seems like such a catastrophe. Think about how we can apply this today. It doesn't mean you have to sleep on the floor, but you could try taking a cold shower, walk instead of taking a taxi, take on a difficult project at work that everyone else avoids, start a hard but necessary conversation. Every time you choose discomfort instead of the easy path, you strengthen your psychological musculature. You prove to yourself that you are stronger than you think. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." What hinders us can actually become a source of our strength if we change our attitude towards it. Don't run from difficulties. Go to meet them. It is in overcoming them that the steel of your character is forged. Mistake 6. Forgetting about one's own mortality. Sounds gloomy, doesn't it? In our culture, the topic of death is taboo. We pretend we will live forever. We postpone important matters, important words, life itself for later. Someday I'll start traveling. Someday I'll tell my parents how much I love them. Someday I'll write that book. We live as if we have an infinite supply of time. The Stoics considered such an attitude towards life a catastrophic mistake. They practiced memento mori, remember death. This was not a form of depressive pessimism. On the contrary, it was the most powerful motivator for living a full, meaningful, and virtuous life here and now. The awareness that our time is limited gives value to every moment. If you knew this day was your last, would you spend it on empty arguments, pointless scrolling through feeds, or worrying about trifles? Of course not. You would focus on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself of this in his diary. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This thought cuts away all the superfluous, all the chaff. It forces you to ask yourself the main question: am I spending my precious, finite resource of time on what truly matters? Seneca echoed him. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. We complain about a short life, yet we act as if it is endless. The practice of memento mori helps to set priorities. It helps to overcome the fear of action. We are afraid to start a new project, afraid to admit our feelings, afraid to change a disliked job. Why? Because of the fear of failure, the fear of judgment. But in the perspective of eternity, all these fears seem insignificant. To remember death means to value life. It means waking up in the morning with gratitude for a new day. It means not postponing hugs, kind words, and important actions. It means living in such a way that at the end of the journey, there is no agonizing pain for years lived aimlessly. Don't be afraid of this thought. Use it as a compass that will always point to what is truly important. Mistake 7. Taking what you have for granted. And the last mistake on our list, but not the least in importance, is the lack of gratitude. We are wired to quickly get used to good things: health, a roof over our heads, food on the table, loved ones nearby. All of this becomes background, something taken for granted. Our attention is fixated on what we don't have. We want a new car, a new position, a new phone, and this eternal chase for bigger and better makes us chronically unhappy. The Stoics understood that happiness is not getting what you want, but wanting what you already have. They practiced what could be called negative visualization. This doesn't mean imagining terrible things to fall into depression. It's a thought experiment, the goal of which is to learn to appreciate what you have. Try for a minute to imagine that you have lost something you consider commonplace. Imagine you no longer have your home, or you lost your job, or even more frightening, a loved one is no longer in your life. Feel this loss for a moment. Now return to reality and realize that you have all of these things. Right now, this simple exercise can instantly fill your heart with gratitude. Seneca wrote, "No man is happy who does not think himself so." Happiness is a matter of perception. Two people can have absolutely identical living conditions, but one will feel unhappy because their neighbor has a better car, while the other will feel happy just because they have a car at all. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Do not dream of what you do not have, but rather reflect on the greatest blessings you have, and then picture how much you would crave them if you did not have them." Gratitude is not a passive feeling. It is an active practice. Start or end your day by listing 3 to 5 things you are grateful for. It could be something global, like the health of loved ones, or something simple, like a delicious dinner or a sunny day. This simple habit can fundamentally change your perception of the world. It shifts the focus from lack to abundance. Stop taking your life for granted. Appreciate what you have while you have it. In this simple yet profound principle lies one of the main secrets of Stoic calm and contentment. Conclusion host. So we have covered the 7 mistakes the Stoics urged us to avoid. Not to worry about what is beyond our control, to live in the present, to seek happiness within, not without, to manage our anger, to embrace difficulties as a training ground, to remember the finiteness of life, and to be grateful for what we have. It might seem like a very difficult path, and in a sense it is. Becoming a Stoic is not a final destination, but a daily practice. It is continuous self-improvement, working on one's thoughts, judgments, and reactions. None of us are perfect. We will make mistakes, falter, forget these principles, and that's normal. The main thing is not to strive for perfection, but to strive for progress. As Epictetus said, "Don't say you're a philosopher, but act like one." Stoicism offers us not an escape from the world, but a deep immersion into it. It teaches us to be strong in the face of adversity, calm amidst chaos, and wise in our decisions. It gives us the tools to build that very inner citadel that will protect us from any storms of life. I hope this video was helpful and gave you food for thought. Try to choose at least one of these principles and practice it over the next week. Observe yourself, your thoughts, and your reactions. Share in the comments which of these mistakes you are most familiar with and which one you would like to start working on first. Let's discuss and support each other on this journey. Thanks for watching. Live consciously and be at peace.